I feel like I come to the wrong conference, actually. This is about high growth. And I started this business in 1986, and I've been plodding along ever since. So I should really be in the slow growth conference. So if anybody wants to leave now, I'm sure the slow growth conference is well, it's much more exciting. I started my business in 1986, and I just wanted to go through a few of the things that I really believe in, and some of the things that I think have made us what we are today. I don't know whether has anybody actually heard of Charles Tyrwhitt? Oh, fantastic. I've beaten the hot pan company, just. It was very good news. I started the business in 1986. Actually, until a couple of years ago, nobody had heard of Charles Tyrwhitt. And I used to get these very blank looks, and then people would suddenly go, hang on, you're married to that woman who runs the White Company. Which actually really used to annoy me, but now I sort of get used to it. But I think the first thing I want to say is I'm a real believer in the saying that anybody can do it. And I think, I mean, I talk about my wife, and actually she's not here, so I can tell you a story about her. When I first started going out with her, and she was working at Harper's & Queen, and I loved my little business. We went on holiday together, and I said that I wanted to get back to my business, and she said she didn't want to get back to Harper's & Queen. She found it really boring. So I said, start your own business. We got back, and she said, I want to start my own business. I want to go on holiday. I want to be excited about coming back. And so I said, we'll do a mail order business, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I think she thought about that for a bit, and then she said, what can I do? And I said, look, we went to stay with my sister, who said, I can't buy a good quality white cotton sheet anywhere. So I said, and the main reason I said this was I thought, as long as this business is never, ever any bigger or more successful than the shirt business, I don't give a stuff what she does. So I said, there you go, why don't you do white cotton sheets? And so she had no background in anything. All she had 2 O-levels in religious studies, and I kid you not, religious studies and cooking. And apparently her teachers used to say, you will be doing Meals on Wheels in the local nunnery. She had no qualifications at all, but she just had a belief and a passion and a sense of what she wanted to do. And she knew from the very beginning that she wanted to create a brand that just did white and was great quality, and she stuck to that. And 20 years later, it's a £150 million business. She's never borrowed a penny except from me, which was the best investment I ever made in my life. I gave her £5,000 for 25% of the business. The worst thing I ever did in my life, 4 years later, I took her on holiday. I just turned 30. We've been going out for about 6 years, and it was Valentine's Day, and I took her to Thailand, and she thought I was going to ask her to marry her. And the thought had not crossed my mind. She thought, you know, we'd only been going out for 4 years. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I was only 30, and I'd completely forgotten about Valentine's Day. So she marched into my office with £5,000 in cash and put it on my desk and said, I never want to see you again, and I'm taking my shares back. So she's not actually that stupid. She's much cleverer than me. But I think it's an amazing lesson. You know, with both of us, I mean, I am an absolute abject. My O-levels were slightly better than hers. I got a 2-2 in geography. Has anybody got a 2-2 in geography? God, we got a 2-2 in geography. God, that's fantastic. Somebody else. I mean, you've got to be quite stupid to get a 2-2 in geography, haven't you? Anyway, so, you know, I got a 2-2 in geography, but I always wanted to have my own business. And I've always believed that if anybody else can do it, I can do it. And I think that's a really important thing. And the next thing I believe is I really believe in keeping it simple. Now, if you've got a 2-2 in geography, it's quite important. You have to keep things simple. You can't do anything complicated. And I had a few jobs, and it's funny, those jobs, literally now 30 years ago, those jobs were jobs that gave me things that I carry forward today. Because I think if you start a business, it's very important that that culture and that feeling for the business comes from the founder. And I remember I worked at Harrods very briefly actually. I worked in the golfwear department with a guy who'd run the golfwear department for 20 years. He told me about 20 times during the day. And at the end of the day, I said, look, I know you've been running the golfwear department for 20 years, because you told me 20 times, but I've just made this list of about 10 things that can make you make this department better, thinking this is the way to run a business. I thought promotion. I thought I was sort of getting a little bit big for my boots at the end of the first day. Second day I came in and I was in luggage, and it was a real shock. And I thought, Jesus, this guy just doesn't listen. And I've always thought, we have 750 people in the business, and I want every single one of those, and when they all start, I have them in groups, and I talk to them, and I sit them down, and I tell them that story. And I say, look, in this business, I want you to do whatever you think is right. If you think it's right, what you have to do, you have to think, if this was my business, what would I do? And then just do it. And I think it's very important keeping that founder's culture in the business as you go forward. But keeping it simple, I mean, it's just very, very obvious things. Quality, value, service. You know, what I want Charles Tyrwhitt to be, I want it to be the best shirt business in the world. I wanted that when I started it 28 years ago, and I want it now. And you say, well, that's a bit vague. You know, well, what is the best shirt business in the world? I just want to be a great business. And what it is, I want a business where the customers love us, where the people who work in the business love us, and where the suppliers love us. And that's all I care about. I don't care about growth in sales. I don't care about growth in profit. I just care about those three things. I probably should care a bit more about growth in sales and profit. We've probably done a bit better over 28 years. But I think it's very important. And that will make us, I think, that will make us a great business. Now, I think the other thing, and this is, again, if you're a bit like me with not very good O-levels and not very good degree, you have to learn from your mistakes, because you make a hell of a lot of them. I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes. And what I found when I set out to be the best shirt business in the world, what I found, I've made two big mistakes. And both of them were effectively the same mistake. In 1994, I decided the business was doing about £2.5 million sales, making £250,000 a year. And I thought, we are just fantastic. We are Lord Hanston and Lord White. I was doing it with a friend of mine. We are going to conquer the world. And I went out and bought this retail children's clothing business. Now, we're a men's shirt business, and men do not like buying, they don't like buying children's clothes. And you know, they just don't like it. But I didn't really think about that. I didn't think about that. So we went bust, which was really annoying, very annoying. 8 years, and I went bust. And then 13 years later, 2007, 13 years later, and I've always said to people in the business, look, make a mistake, but learn from it. It's fine if you make a mistake, make a mistake once, just don't make it twice. 13 years later, I decided what the business needed was to branch out, and this is slightly embarrassing saying this, but to branch out into women's and children's clothes. And we lost, we went from being quite a good business, we were doing £40 million sales at the time, making £4 million profit, and we went to basically bust. The bank came in, put us in special lending services, and I had £9 million worth of women's clothing that even I couldn't wear all that stuff. And it was a real slog to get it back. And I realized that it's about focus. We want to be the best shirt business in the world, and that's what we want to do. And then I think the other thing you need to do as an entrepreneur, you need to work out who the best person is to run your business. For a long time, it might be you, and forever it might be you. But if you're like me, there's no way it's forever it's you. And what I found, actually, since I got somebody else in to run the business, Jesus Christ, this is a great business. And it's just been, you know, we went from having nearly gone bust, doing 50 million, making nothing. We've now, last year we did 130 million, making 16 million pounds profit, 750 people. And the business, you know, the less I do, the better the business does. And it's just absolutely fantastic. But I think the big thing that I don't like in this world is, or the really important lesson, I think, which is what I've done, and really my wife has done, is it's all about perseverance. You know, Warren Buffett's got it as well. You know, there's a couple of us who've got it. You know. It's compound growth is the eighth wonder of the world. And, you know, I have done this business for 28 years. If anybody's prepared to sit down and sell shirts every day for 28 years, you will have a great business. And we are growing, we've grown at 22% every year for the last 19 years. This year we're up 25%, we'll do 160 million. The year just, and a year and coming up, and next year we'll do 200 million. And I'm pretty confident in that. But it's about perseverance. And people sell out too fast. I've never sold any shares. I've never really borrowed any money, except a little bit when I went bust. But that's really important. Those are my, I don't know if you can remember all those lessons. This is flashing at me like mad. Sorry, I had 10 minutes to tell you about 28 years of my life. It's just absolutely impossible. But thank you very much for listening. Yeah, thank you.